This channel is supported by Truefire. Truefire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. So, it's actually now about a month that I have had this little guy. So this is a Nacho caster, which I was super excited to buy, and I've been really enjoying playing it with one small issue happening, which is that I've been feeling some sort of weirdness in this left hand. So I'm gonna put this in its case for a while and maybe even ask my buddy Jake to do the modification, which is to bring this neck pickup up higher and then wire this middle position to be just a normal telly position. But I think we need to talk about necks. The thing that I really liked about Jake's telly was that it had this really pronounced V profile, which is not something that I've really ever had on any other guitar. And I thought it was a really important part of what made that guitar different. And so if it came up with anything else, you know, like a C or a U or a D or whatever, I would have been like, you know what, that's not for me. However, yes, so what I thought was happening was that, like the day before this guitar showed up, or maybe a couple of days before, I did one of the things that any of you guys who are a parent might know, the thing where you're going shopping with the kid and you kind of get a little bit too much, and you try and put a load of stuff in a plastic bag, and you're trying to hold the top closed like this, and then you're trying to stop the kid running into a road with the other arm, the old cheeky twofer, the duo. And I thought that was what was going on, and I did like a live stream the evening after I got this, and I was like, I'm feeling something in my hand there, and I put it down to that. Now, 3 weeks in, I'm wondering, is it actually the V-neck that I'm not getting on with? Obviously, this is not ideal, and it is in some cases a bit of a shame if it is this, but I'm going to kind of test that and see. I don't know how well you'll be able to see this on the screen, but this is called a soft V, but it's actually still quite a pronounced situation. And what I also decided to do was to film myself playing from a couple of angles, so you can see like the difference in the thumb behaviour between the two necks. Now I sent this to my buddy Jake, who's saying like he's feeling some stuff in his wrist or the carpal tunnel. He's actually had his Nacho for about 6 months, I think, at this point, so he's probably is not related to this. But you know, I'm only sort of a month in. So I'm thinking, well, this could be the culprit in some ways, right? You know, I don't know if any of you guys have ever had issues playing with a V-neck, or if this is something you specifically avoid. I've only had one other guitar that I played enough to know that that didn't feel right for my hands. It was an Ibanez, like their little 339 type shape. I think it was an ASV 1000, something like that, like a Reddick guitar. But that one, over time, something about that guitar just didn't work. And obviously, if that happens, hand health being what it is, kind of you have to bite the bullet and move on from that guitar, I think. So hopefully that doesn't happen here. But anyway, so this, a fairly pronounced V, and I kind of, if you line up a C with a V, you do see that actually like that angle is going to be quite different if you're placing your thumb in different places on the neck. So for me, I kind of, in the middle of a shred might be right on the middle of the back, but oftentimes as well I'm on this sort of strip here, which is where the neck would effectively now be feeling quite a lot skinnier, potentially, or if nothing else, this angle is a little bit different, like way steeper than on a C. So I think there may be something to this. It's something that after filming it, I was like, I should be thinking about this a bit harder, because obviously, like I said before, hand health is relevant. So here, I've got playing Donna Lee at the same tempo on my K-line Springfield with a C, and on this with the V. I will say that I do feel like, in some ways, the V is more comfortable, but if it comes along with this sort of cramp, or not, it's not quite cramp, it's just like the feeling of something. Which is something I try to avoid in my hands in general. So what I've been doing is taking garlic, and I will probably try and ice it again and see what happens, but it's like a little bit of a something in between these two fingers. And yeah, across my whole sort of playing life, I've been really conscious of feeling anything in my hands, because that's something that you want to try and, you know, be noticing if it's happening. So anyway, I'd love to know your thoughts if any of you guys have got like specific neck shapes that do something for your hands. And I did find online that someone said that a V-neck is not really ideal if you're doing a lot of playing, and so that's maybe something to bear in mind. And so can this telly, if it is the culprit, which of course I'm going to try and find out, I'm going to put it in this case over there and give it to Jake to sort out, but I think it'd still be okay to have a telly that is brought out for, you know, special occasions or whatever, but it wouldn't then be able to become like the guitar that would be like the number one instrument, right? Because if it's gonna sort of not quite agree with your hands. So I'm hoping it's not that. That's what I'm hoping. So I'm gonna maybe try and do some exercisey bits, do some more healthy bits, maybe eat a bit more sensibly, do some more chin-ups and stuff, and hopefully at the end of this 3 weeks we can come back to it, and then 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe I'll give it another month, and then give it another month of playing and see what happens. I think that might be prudent. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments if you've ever had a V problem like this. Anyway, other than that, it's a lovely guitar, but if it doesn't agree with this left hand, then I don't know what we're gonna have to do. Something.